David Dobrik is quitting YouTube. Seems like David Dobrik is done with YouTube. You might have noticed Dobrik has taken a break from content creation. During his peak, he was posting 3 times a week, but once the pandemic hit, things changed. So what's going on with David Dobrik? Is he really putting an end to his YouTube career? Let's find out. When the pandemic hit and the Vlog Squad took a break from YouTube, while other YouTubers and influencers were partying and ignoring guidelines, David put a pause. The only video he actually did during the pandemic was him giving away things to people on the street, and people actually loved to see that. Now, the Vlog Squad hasn't sat idle during the pandemic. This break gave the team an opportunity to start their own project. Zayn and Heath started their own podcast, and over the course of the pandemic, it has grown and become extremely successful. Today, they have over 1 million subscribers and easily get 1 million views on all of their videos. They also get along well with David Dobrik. In fact, last week they uploaded a video titled "What Really Happened on Our Europe Trip Part 1." They recently went to Paris with David and a few members from the Vlog Squad. David, meanwhile, has been very active on social media, TikTok in particular, where he has been documenting his trip. A lot of people have noticed that David has started posting more frequently on TikTok. His main YouTube channel hasn't seen a video in over 2 months now. However, he posts pretty much daily on TikTok. Well, Zayn and Heath may have confirmed that David is done with vlogs during their podcast this week. They were talking about their Paris trip, and they said that David didn't want them to look at the Eiffel Tower until they actually got there. Apparently, he told them to cover their eyes until they get to the locations, as they were kind of confused as to why. Because apparently the vlogs are done. We don't know if they just spilled the beans because they quickly brushed it off, but this is kind of huge. And we won't be surprised if David Dobrik is done with the vlogs for good. We will explain why. Recently, David has been talking about branching out and moving on to new things. A few months ago during one of his podcasts, David said he was thinking of quitting YouTube. He expressed that he is really happy with everything that he has created, but he kinds of feels like he has done everything that he can do. He has even stopped posting on his podcast channel, which is really weird. After the controversy with Jeff, David said he was going to start opening up more and start being real with his fans on his podcast. However, he hasn't posted there in months. He even had an episode already filmed with Face Banks, and he never went and uploaded it. Now, David Dobrik has been involved in several controversies. Back in March, he was involved in a crypto scam and got called out for promoting Bored Bunny. He got a lot of backlash from it. What he did next was the obvious: damage control. He invited Face Banks on his podcast to educate him about NFTs. Banks considered himself as an expert on crypto and NFTs, so he went ahead to teach David more and figure out a way to make the situation right. But the sad thing is, viewers never got to see the video. The video was never posted, and Face Banks hadn't mentioned it again. There's been no new episodes, and everyone is wondering what's going on. So it looks like David is done with YouTube, and it maybe has to do with all the Jeff controversy. David is being sued for a lot of money, and his lawyers may have advised him not to post. This is obviously a conspiracy theory, but maybe he'll try to counter Jeff's lawsuit and say Jeff talking about him is causing him emotional distress. Therefore, he's not posting and making money from YouTube right now. It seems really odd that David decided to stop posting immediately after he got word about Jeff wanting to sue him. It could also be his way of trying to avoid any negative comments, or maybe he won't have to address the current lawsuit if he just stays away. Obviously, he's posting on TikTok and is now becoming his main content channel. There's certainly a possibility that there are negative comments and people bringing up the lawsuit with Jeff. But if you take a look, most of the comments are pretty positive, and there are tons of people just asking him to return to YouTube. As for how David is doing after hearing about the lawsuit, he seems to be doing really good. He's cheerful and posting regularly on TikTok. Of course, this isn't how you judge someone's mental state through a few videos, but yeah, it looks like he's doing alright. Now, speaking about Zayn and Heath's podcast and the trips to Paris, it looks like David made their name in Paris a little too stressful. They talk about how David would stand in the streets yelling at all the cars passing by and saying that he had American money and how he wanted them to take him wherever he wanted to go. It was clear everyone, excluding David, was embarrassed by this. And of course, how dangerous it could happen. Throughout the discussion, it was clear David treated his friends horribly. As for the vlogs being over, we are pretty sure we aren't seeing any more of them for a long time. Could they return in the future? Maybe. But right now, David Dobrik's YouTube's career is done for. What are your thoughts on this? Do let us know down below. Thanks for watching.